Last night on his program, Sean Hannity wanted to make a comparison between Trump and George Floyd and the treatment they have received from cops. Now, he's not saying it's the same. He's not saying it's the same. Well, definitely saying it's the same.
And yes, there are bad apples within some police departments. There are dirty cops. In fact, no program on cable news, on the radio, has spent more time exposing the bad actors on the federal level. 7th floor, FBI, Comey, McCabe, Strzok, Page. Remember those names? Yes. They abused their power. And by the way, we have been fully vindicated on our reporting. And, of course, all the corruption. They used their power and influence to what? To first stop one candidate from being elected, then overturning an election? Seriously? In the United States of America. Yep. What did Joe DeGeneva say? Dirty cops. And the president himself, it's not the same thing as what happened to George Floyd, but it's horrific. He was a victim of crooked cops. Now, again, not the same circumstances. I'm not making any comparison. A bad cop is a bad cop. And by all means, by the way, the damage was real to the country. The damage in Minneapolis is real to the country. And that the case, what was done in George Floyd case, should never happen. We know how a few malignant individuals can destroy lives and wreak havoc.
Hey, I'm not saying it's the same in the middle of a multi-minute rant about like how unfair it was to Trump that these bad apples in law enforcement targeted him and tried to destroy his election. He also said that someone was stopped from getting elected and then they tried to overturn election. Was he saying that they interfered with Hillary Clinton? Was that the admission that he was saying there? What if not? What candidate? I don't know what candidate he's talking about.
He's talking about Trump.
Yeah,
like it's a part of his well vetted and confirmed reporting, and that he somehow says was exonerated his coverage. Where he can continue to go on and on about how Trump was trying to get derailed from getting elected. And once he was elected, the things that came out about what he did all the way up to Ukraine was an attempt to get him kicked out because this was to subvert his winning election. That's all he's saying. Because once you hold someone like Donald Trump accountable, what you're doing is trying to destroy his presidency. I think Donald Trump tried to destroy his presidency when he did illegal things. Again, the consequences are never considered to be put on the person who did the act in the first place. It's on the people who said so. I don't think Sean Hannity realized that as he's pointing out, his calling of bad cops in the federal level is picking and choosing and actually makes him look worse. He's like, I'm just calling bad cops to the people who hurt the people that I want to help continue to be corrupt, not the people who are actually in the streets being beaten up and killed by them. No, that's a whole different thing. Yeah, those cops. Yeah, well, yeah, there's a couple of those, but I'm talking about the federal level ones. Hey, that's a hypocritical statement, you idiot.
Yeah. It's also amazing that, like, in the middle of a speech where he was saying that what happened to George Floyd was wrong, which automatically puts him head and shoulders above any of the other hosts on Fox News. They might have once or twice pretended to care about that, but Sean Hannity at least regularly pretends to actually be bothered by that. That's preferable, I guess. But also, he is still using the bad apples thing. Isn't that madness?
Yep.
That after everything that the country has been through, how many video montages of cops just casually pepper spraying people, brutally beating people, groups of cops beating someone who's not fighting back. How many shots of them trying to run down protesters with their cars? How much of this do we need before we finally retire the bad apples thing? And maybe just come up with another condescending metaphor to use. Like, just be a little bit fresh. That metaphor is a bad apple at this point. It's rotten.
I have an idea. Let's go with bruised banana. How about that?
It's a dark bruised banana, exactly.
And did you notice the one federal cop that he didn't point out that's doing bad things is William Barr? I wonder why he didn't point that guy out.
He's not bothered by that.
Who's got bad actions and who's been doing things against American people. No, that guy is not a bad cop because he fits your narrative. So your bad cop thing is based off of people who help your president do illegal things.
100%, yeah. And it's interesting. I try to be able to recognize and make clear the distinctions between bad things. So Tucker Carlson's show is just white supremacy. That's what it is. It's designed to elevate whites. That's it. Sean Hannity, he's totally for a lot of that stuff, but his show, the mission really is demonstrated so perfectly there that it is just deference to Donald Trump and distraction for the viewers. So we have nationwide 50-state protests against police brutality. The overwhelming majority of the population now accepts it, believes that something needs to be done. And what does his show do? It says, oh yeah, bad that guy got killed, but the true bad cops are Page and Strzok in their sexy texts, and they tried to interfere with... Like, that has nothing to do with anything.
Nope.
That is not... Nobody cares about that. That's not what's ruining people's lives. But he takes his millions of viewers and says, ignore all of what's going on and the obvious systemic discrimination, and instead, here's some sexy texts and some Page and Strzok and dirty cops. That's what's really... It's the distraction element. It's different forms of state TV. One upholds the racial hierarchy that the Republican Party is based on. The other is just, bread and circuses to distract people so that they don't get awakened by what they're seeing.
It goes back to the Central Park lady that I just talked about again.
Mm-hmm.
You're ruining my life by trying to hold me accountable when you just literally tried to ruin someone else's life. In fact, end their lives. So the level of outrage based on it is only because it affects me now. This is a serious situation. What you were just doing is not. It's just a problem. It's just a little thing. It's just this one isolated incident with this one isolated bad cop. But I'm telling you, the way you guys came after my president was unprecedented, and no president has ever been treated like this. It's going to be a disaster. Look how the country was destroyed by it. Mm-hmm. In what way? In what way? But George Floyd we just had a funeral for him yesterday. He's not here anymore. What part of his life got destroyed that this guy who's literally sitting in the White House still now, his life has been destroyed, but someone's not here anymore? You're going to compare those two.
Yeah, his life has been destroyed. He live tweeted what Fox was covering and not covering at 11 a.m. local time today. As Chris Hayes pointed out, you're the president of the United States. It's a weekday. You're supposed to be working. At 11, you're watching Fox News. Mm-hmm. But that's what he's doing. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.